grass, it's so glad. Grazing in the grass ain't so glad. Grazing in the grass, it's so glad. Grazing in the grass, oh yeah. Grazing in the grass, it's so glad. Grazing in the grass. It ain't just for the rally. Somebody scream! Let's have some fun, y'all. Fire drill! Fire drill! Put your fire drill up! Put your fire drill up! Y'all give it up for Troy, y'all give it up, give it up. Come on, Troy. Oh, yeah. Racing in the grass, okay. What you say, Greg? Racing in the grass, okay. Racing in the grass, okay. Y'all give it up for Greg on the trumpet. Y'all give it up. So they shoot me every time. Boom. Y'all give it up for the sound men. They're working hard. Y'all give it up for the sound men. Yeah. It look easy. Two more, three more shots. Where the arm? Where the arm when you need them? That's on my top 10. Top 10 of my hated songs I hate now, y'all. There we go. Today, we celebrate Fire Drill Friday, y'all. Y'all ready to rumble? Yeah, boy. Till then, we gonna keep it rolling with the New Orleans own Rebirth Grammy-winning Rebirth Brass Band, all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, once again. I think I said it 3 times, but I'm gonna say it one more time. All the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, Rebirth Brass Band. Y'all give it up, give it up. It ain't nothing but a party, y'all. Come on, put your hands together, everybody. I want to see you move your head, move your feet, move up. Come on. Come on. Magnificent swing on the drumming, y'all. Give it up. Y'all, here we come. Here she comes, y'all. Here she comes. Here she comes, Miss Jane Fonda, y'all. Miss Jane Fonda, y'all. So beautiful. Y'all give it up. So beautiful, Miss Jane Fonda. Give it up one more time, y'all.
Aren't they great? They came all the way from New Orleans. This is so thrilling. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome, firefighters. I'm so glad you're here. It means the world to me to be here in person in D.C., Piscataway lands, at this moment with so much at stake. The world has changed since I last stood here in 2019. Well, I mean, I haven't been arrested since then. But no, truly, I can't tell you what it means. It brings so much hope to see all of you here. Oh, my friends from the movement, wow, we're coming together on the heels, right, of a momentous election where we organized like hell to block the red wave that all the experts were predicting. Together we defeated the most hell-bent on destroying our democracy. We defeated them. But organizing does not stop after an election, does it? We must hold the folks we got into office accountable. Accountable to us, not to oil companies. Because the fossil fuel industry never stops. And so we cannot ever stop. So thank you for being here so much. I'm so grateful. We're all gathered at an incredibly crucial time. Congress has just 4 weeks to act before gridlock descends on our Capitol. And then for the next 2 years, it's going to be up to President Biden to use every single strategy, every tactic, every aspect of his executive power to keep moving our country forward on meaningful climate action. Time is running out. Scientists are telling us we are in our last decade of action. What we do or fail to do in the next 8 to 10 years to cut our fossil fuel emissions in half will determine how much of a livable future we'll have. So this is the time. This is the time for bold action before it's too late, and that's exactly why we are here right now. You know, back in October, it was October 11th, 2019, the very first Fire Drill Friday was kicked off here with an amazing group of movement partners. And I was arrested for civil disobedience. For the first time at 81 years old. I thought that was pretty good. I turned 82 in jail. As the weeks passed, Fire Drill Fridays grew from a few dozen people to thousands in attendance, millions amplifying the call to action, and a total of more than 600 arrests. We're going to take a look right now on the Jumbotron at our shared journey. We're going to be here every Friday at 11 o'clock, rain or shine or snow or blizzard, whatever. What do we want?
Climate justice!
We want it
now! Our planet! Our planet! Our planet's on fire! Our planet!
Every Friday, we're inviting experts, activists, celebrities, and the people who live in the most impacted frontline communities to speak to us.
We hold the power to change the political calculus in America.
We have power. We have so much power.
This is a collective crisis that requires collective action.
Our job as celebrities is to point, and this is what we're pointing at.
We're here to honor the people on the ground, the people doing the grassroots work, the people working hard.
We're gonna go raise a ruckus.
And this movement is spreading so fast.
We are just getting started.
While we have to face what's real, we still mustn't give in to despair. And that's why we need all of us to rise together.
Don't blink, don't back down from this fight, because when it comes to us and climate deniers, we will win politically and we will win on the policy.
Woo! Yes! Wow, what a trip, right? So much has changed since that first fire drill Friday here in D.C. When the COVID shutdown happened in March of 2020, we began to hold our Fire Drill Friday rallies virtually, and it worked. That first year, we had 9 million followers across all platforms, and 2 months ago, we reached our 11 millionth viewer. We have taught thousands of firefighters how to lobby, how to call and write elected officials and visit them when they're back home, how to sign up to phone bank and canvass with the campaigns. This was our goal, to move concerned citizens into action, into activism. Because of movement organizing in 2020, young voters, labor voters, climate voters, and disenfranchised voters came out in record numbers to stand up to everything that Donald Trump represents. The hate, the misogyny, the racism, the full reign that he and the GOP gave to the fossil fuel industry. Well, we've had a much better 2 years, right? These last 2 years. But climate scientists warn that it's too slow. The change is happening too slowly. In the recent midterm elections, we proved that taking away women's rights, attacking our democracy, and inaction on climate all have consequences. This is what we showed them. We defeated all of the right-wing Secretary of State candidates. Yes. We won key governor's races and legislative races, and we won so many down-ballot races that are going to have an enormous impact on climate. Now, the Democrats, as you know, held the Senate and are poised to gain a seat if we win on Tuesday in Georgia. And here's the best news, not if, but when we win in Georgia, we will dethrone Senator Manchin and his unilateral veto power. Right? I mean, that alone is worth dancing in the streets for. Don't worry, I'm going to be coming back to Mr. Manchin in a moment. Yeah, we lost the House, but by a tiny margin compared to what we were worried about. The fact that Democrats got so close despite the odds is no small feat. This happened, we've got to keep remembering this, it happened despite increased efforts to block voting, new gerrymandering districts, and fossil fuel interest spending an average of $4.3 million per Senate seat and $500,000 per House seat to support their puppet candidates. All of this proves that Americans are more aware, more outraged, and more committed to stopping the madness. Extreme hurricanes, floods, fires, these are worsening. In 2022, heat waves broke records in the U.S. and all over the world. Data has proven that the world already has more fossil fuels under development above ground than we can safely burn if we want a livable future. Show of hands, who wants a livable future? All right. All right, there you go, and you're not alone. Despite big oil's relentless and well-funded disinformation campaigns, public opinion has reached unprecedented levels of support for climate action. 3% of Americans polled, representing 8.6 million people, even say they would commit civil disobedience on climate if someone they liked and respected asked them. So I say, hey, come on down. Come on down. Moving people, this is what Fire Drill Friday is all about, moving people from being alone and concerned to being together in action, right? I want to make a couple of points very clear because there's a lot of misunderstanding about what the movement demands are. As I've traveled the country supporting climate champions running for office in red states, I realize that we need to stress the fact that we're not talking about immediately stopping fossil fuels, right? There's been huge progress on the green energy front, but it can't yet take on the full burden of energy, providing energy for the United States. So we have to make clear we're talking about gradually phasing out of fossil fuels, but immediately stopping no new fossil fuels. It's really important to make that clear. And the second point that I want to make, and if you come from an oil-producing state, you know this, is that we must ensure a just transition for energy workers. What that means is that no worker or community will be left behind in a clean energy future. You know, the climate crisis is not their fault. We owe a debt of gratitude for keeping our lights on, our homes heated, our cars running for well over 100 years, often placing their own health and even their lives at risk due to unsafe working conditions. That's why we have to work together to ensure energy workers are trained for the transition. And of course, there are many thousands of jobs cleaning up the oil drilling sites, covering the toxic pools, and capping abandoned wells. We need to work with labor to make sure the new energy jobs are union or union equivalent. Most are not right now. A truly equitable and just transition also demands that the frontline communities most affected by the climate crisis have input on and benefit from proposed solutions. Injustice is at the heart of the climate consequences, so justice must be at the heart of the answers. This summer, Congress passed the largest investment in renewable energy in history as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. $370 billion over 10 years will go toward expanding the use of electric vehicles and advancing clean energy like solar and wind power. It's wonderful. It's fabulous. It's historic. But did you know that in that same bill, the powerful fossil fuel lobby placed stipulations that require leasing of our precious public lands for oil and gas drilling? Yeah, that's in the bill too. Like I said, they never stop. And it gets worse. to get Senator Manchin's yes vote on the IRA, Senator Schumer promised Manchin a future shot at both gutting bedrock environmental protections and fast-tracking drilling projects across America. This is what we're calling the dirty deal. Shocker! Oh my word! Senator Manchin is the #1 recipient of fossil fuel campaign contributions of any senator, Republican or Democrat. Well, that explains a lot. So it's no surprise that the leaked draft of the dirty deal had the American Petroleum Institute's watermark on it. Stamp of approval. The dirty deal locks vulnerable communities into decades more pollution, silences public input, and sabotages our climate goals. It's their dream come true. But just a few short months ago, in an historic effort led by environmental justice groups, including many getting arrested, and with the help of many allies in both the House and the Senate, we blocked the dirty deal. Yeah, but as I said, they never give up, and at this very moment, they're trying to sneak the dirty deal into must-pass legislation before the end of the year. Congress must reject the dirty deal once and for all. Yes. And before we close today, I'll tell you how you can help call on Congress to do everything in its power over the next 4 weeks to stop the dirty deal in its tracks forever. Okay, so stay tuned. So, another thing is, it's up to Biden right now, right? I mean, it's all going to be up to him, and we're calling on him today and every day to declare a national climate emergency. The United States remains the single largest producer and exporter of oil in the world. Fossil fuel companies still receive billions in subsidies and tax breaks from the federal and state governments. Upon the declaration of a climate emergency, President Biden can generate millions of good-paying union jobs by increasing domestic manufacturing of renewable energy and electric cars. He can stop issuing drilling permits and cancel leases on public lands. He can reinstate the crude oil export ban, and he can reject liquid natural gas export terminals. If ever there was a time for a president to take advantage of his full power, this is it. Delay is the enemy. We voted in November, and today we are in the streets, and tomorrow we must organize and build our movement bigger and more bold and brave than ever. Our leaders in Washington and our states must hear us every day. Every day. Why? Because the fossil fuel industry never gives up, and neither can we. Yesterday, I lobbied on the Hill against the dirty deal. Every single official, every official that I met with, including Speaker Pelosi, said to me, "Keep rocking the boat, make noise. We need opposition out there. We need you to be loud. Get louder." This is very important. We've been given our marching orders from the inside. They need us. We have to be triple, quadruple. We have to keep growing our numbers. And lucky for us, we have the most incredible comrades to fight together with, and some of my favorites are here today. To help me introduce our incredible speakers, I want you to meet Taylor Schilling. Taylor's making a return visit to Fire Drill Friday. She spoke here in the fall of 2019. She is an Emmy, Screen Actors Guild, and Golden Globe nominee She has recently starred in Hulu's hit miniseries Pam and Tommy. You may also have seen her on the acclaimed series Orange is the New Black, the anthology series Monsterland, or films like Family, The Public, or The Prodigy. Join me in welcoming Taylor Schilling.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here supporting all of you. We're in this together, and Jane and all of these incredible activists that I'm so excited to introduce to you. First up, we have Senator Merkley. Yes. Senator Merkley has been one of the Senate's foremost champions for protecting our environment and taking on climate change since 2009. He won bipartisan support to boost the Green Climate Fund, has used his seat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to promote American climate leadership on the global stage, and has led the fight in the Senate against Arctic drilling. Senator Merkley introduced the Keep It in the Ground Act to completely end new fossil fuel leases on our federal lands and waters. Senator Merkley also recently championed Senate letters urging President Biden to declare a national climate emergency, opposing Manchin's permitting reform bill. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Senator Merkley.
Well, hey, are y'all fired up to stop fossil fuels? Well, I'm glad to hear it, because Oregon, the most beautiful state in the country, sorry. Any Oregonians here? All right there, yes. Well, our state's burning up from fires. Our snowpack in the Cascades is disappearing. Our Pacific Ocean acidification is completely wiping out our kelp beds. Our trout and salmon springs, those streams are warmer and smaller, not good for our salmon, not good for our trout. Every single state has consequences, direct consequences on the ground right now. Are we going to save America and save the planet? I saw a post over here that said, "I'm with her." Can you hold that up? I'm with her, Mother Earth, our planet. That's "I'm with her" too. Because there is no Planet B. I see a Planet B poster. Can you hold that up? SOS, no Planet B right there. Turn it around so everybody can see it. That's what we're doing. We are saving our planet, not just for our generation, but all the generations to come. This is the single biggest test humanity has ever faced, and we have to lead the battle to save it. We have to get it done. So I'm glad you're ready. So keep it in the ground. What's that all about? We cannot develop any more fossil fuel infrastructure. So are we going to keep the coal in the ground? Are we going to keep the oil in the ground? Are we going to keep the fossil gas in the ground? And there's nothing natural about fracking. So call it what it is, methane or fossil gas. Huge climate warming impacts. Now, here's the thing. I'm so glad that Jane is organizing these Fire Drill Fridays, because it is a code red 5-alarm fire. Thank you for doing this week after week after week after week. It's incredible. So each of us has to do all we can. And right now, we need to do something else. How about this? How about stopping the dirty deal? You know what's in that dirty deal? The Mountain Valley Pipeline for fossil gas. And that would mow down every single environmental law in the process. Not good. It says they would move the court of jurisdiction from one court to another to a favorable place so they could sustain that mow down of environmental laws. No way. So we got to keep it out of the Defense Authorization Act. Go up to Capitol Hill and tell the House of Representatives and the Senate, hell no, no dirty deal. in the Defense Authorization Act. And no dirty deal in any continuing resolution or any other budget bill. So, folks, time is short. We're really in deep trouble already. We have to move faster. We have to move bolder. That's why we need President Biden to declare a climate emergency. Use all the powers of the federal government to respond to this biggest test of humanity. So we're counting on all of you and all of the champions up here and every champion in every corner of our country, every corner of the world to carry this battle and move more boldly, more quickly together. Thank you all.
You have no idea what a brave champion Senator Merkley is. You have no idea. He has bravely focused on fossil fuels before anybody else in politics did. You know, you can talk all you want about wind turbines and solar panels and electric cars, but if you don't talk about fossil fuels, you're trying to bail out a sinking boat without plugging the hole. Right now, that senator is circulating a letter asking members of the Senate to sign on in opposition to the dirty deal. So thank you, Senator. Thank you so much. He's one of a kind. Our next speaker is Maria Lopez Nunez. She grew up in Brunswick, New Jersey, and remembers being displaced multiple times by racism and violence, which is what sparked her commitment to fight extractive industries and end sacrifice zones once and for all. The iron-bound district of Newark, New Jersey, where she resides, is predominantly Black and Latino and is one of the most toxic neighborhoods in the country. In her role as Deputy Director of Advocacy and Organizing of Ironbound Community Corporation, the ICC, she challenges the current political system and holds power brokers and polluters accountable while fighting for the environment. And she currently serves on the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, on the Board for Climate Justice Alliance, and is the co-chair of the Grassroots Caucus for Building Equity and Alignment for Environmental Justice. Please welcome Maria Lopez Nunez.
Thank you. I'm Maria Lopez Nunez. I'm with the Climate Justice Alliance, and I belong to the Ironbound Community Corporation. So, to tell you a little bit about my neighborhood is 4 square miles, all right? Just 4 square miles. We have 3 power plants, 3 fossil fuel power plants, the state's largest garbage incinerator, the state's largest sewage waste treatment facility that takes the waste from 27 different states. The garbage incinerator, most of that trash comes from New York City, okay? My neighborhood is the epitome of a sacrifice zone. During the Vietnam War, when we were producing Agent Orange, we were producing it in my neighborhood and then dumping the dioxin into the river, making it the longest Superfund site in the country, 17 miles of a Superfund site. And that means polluters must pay. So when I hear a dirty deal brokered by 2 white men in a dark room, leaving all of us out, I think that's not what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. I know that we are in the United States of America. I come from a country in Honduras, right, in Central America, where there are dictators. And there should not be dictators here. We do not bend the knee to kings, not King Manchin, not King McConnell, all right? So I do know that no dirty deal can pass, and it cannot pass without people. We need all the people here to say, even if it's not in your neighborhood, it could be in your neighborhood. And I know we talk about climate change and how it's going to hit all of us. But I tell you from a frontline community, from a sacrifice zone, and I tell you, sacrifice zones are not unique. That's what makes it sad. Black and brown people, indigenous people, rural communities, and low-income folks. We've been sacrificed for the greater good. And I say no more. No more sacrifice of our communities for the greater good. All right? The greater good will come from a just transition where we're all taken care of, where we transform the foundation of this society and break apart the racism, the classism. No means no. And we've already told no to this dirty side deal. So let's send it back where the hell it came from, and let's actually build a future without compromise. Thank you.
Amazing, incredible. Thank you, Gladiator. All right. Now, as I introduce Representative Raul Grijalva, our incredible event volunteers will be handing out bells that you're going to be using later in the program. Don't use them quite yet. Wait. We'll ask you to ring the bells in just a bit. Now, I would love to tell you about the incredible Representative Grijalva. He began his career in public service as a community organizer in Tucson. 4 decades later, he continues to be an advocate for those in need and underrepresented voices. He has served in the U.S. House of Representatives for Arizona's 7th Congressional District for 20 years. And in 2018, became chair of the House Natural Resources Committee. He also serves on the Committee on Education and the Workforce and is the chairman emeritus of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, as well as a long-standing member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. He authored a letter championing the opposition to Manchin's permitting reform deal and introduced the landmark Environmental Justice for All Act to fund environmental justice priorities. It's an honor to have him with us. Thank you.
Well, first of all, pardon the sound of my voice. Let me first thank Miss Jane Fonda and her tenacity, the tenacity and commitment of the people allied on this cause, the activists, and all the organizations that brought the issue of climate change to the point that it needed to be one of urgency. And I want to thank her for that. What's happened in the halls of Congress and what's happened with the deniers, the people afraid of science and fact that happen to be members of Congress and senators, what's happened to them is that they don't deny. They avoid and they try to derail efforts to address the urgency of climate change that this country and this world faces. That's what they try to do. And they're going to try to do it again. Because this Manchin dirty deal, unfortunately, is not unique. There have been other dirty deals that compromise the future health and well-being of the American people for a profit margin. There have been other deals that have sacrificed the public health communities across this nation because they were dumped on, marginalized, and discriminated against. And we cannot address the issue of climate change if the balance of power is such that gas and oil control the agenda. And what happened in this last midterm is a wake-up call for all of us. A wake-up call that I hope everybody in Congress, and we lost the majority in the House. I won't be chairman of that committee, but my colleagues, the Democrats in that committee, are going to make sure that day in, day out, the fundamental issue facing this nation is climate change, our lack of urgent response, and the need to begin a transition immediately. And I say that, and that's going to be our agenda. And we want, because I am convinced that come 2024, when we stabilize sanity in our democracy, when we begin to return the legitimate power to people, when we begin to do those things and turn this trajectory of history here in this country in 2024, it'll be because the American people that are not here today, the indigenous communities across this country are not here today. The pre-K kids, preschoolers like my grandchild are not here today. And who's not here today are the poor. Who's not here today are those communities on the front line that have been dumped upon and dumped upon and dumped upon. And where are they at? They're here. They're not here, but they're absolutely with us. And you're here lending voice to them. Come 2024, those are the people that are going to take us back to a reality in this country in which the people's voice, their power, and the fundamental issue of climate change is addressed, and the fundamental issue of ethics, of rules, of no back dealing, no side deals, no trades, policy, public policy takes ascendancy one more time. So, thank you, Jane. Thanks to all of you. And, you know, what is being done here on Fridays is not just a testament to you, it is a clear signal that the issue of climate change is the issue upon us, and that it's not going to go away, and that your voice, your perspective, and your urgency is not going to go away either. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. You heard the Chairman. We got to take action. All right, friends, we're going to do something all together now, okay? In a minute, I'm going to ask you to take a moment of silence for everyone on the front lines of this crisis. And after that, I'm going to ask you to get real loud and sound the alarm on the climate emergency. So get your cowbells ready. Get your cowbells ready. Be sure to hold your signs high because we're going to take a picture. Not yet. We're going to take a picture. We're going to take a picture and we want it to be really good. So when you hear me start ringing, that's the sign for you to start yelling and cheering and making as much noise as you can so that Congress down there and the White House down there, the President can hear us, okay? Yes, I didn't hear you. I said, okay. Okay, all right, that's better. Come on, that's better. That's more like it. Okay, but now first let's take a moment of silence to honor people hit first and worst. Hit first and worst by the climate crisis. Let's honor those who lost their lives or loved ones due to climate disasters, who drowned in Hurricane Ian or in the devastating Pakistan floods. Let's honor those who have lost their homes in fires in California and Oregon, Washington, New Mexico, and Colorado. Let's honor the countless families forced into breathing the toxic pollution from nearby coal plants or refineries, and the farm workers suffering heat strokes and kidney damage out in the fields. Let's honor the people whose lands we are on, members of the Piscataway Nation, and recognize the violence and string of broken treaties that led to the complete takeover of their lands. And for those who are still here and still fighting for land back and who are asking for all our support. Let's honor Joy Brown, a fierce warrior and advocate for indigenous and frontline communities who recently passed. She was an amazing mother, grandmother, and water protector to her people. And let's honor Representative McEachin, who passed away just days ago, much too young, who for decades lifted up and fought for environmental justice communities in the halls of power. This is a fight that Representative Grijalva is continuing, and I thank him for that. And finally, let's honor the children and grandchildren and those yet unborn who will bear the brunt of the crisis that they didn't create. Here we go, a moment of silence. Okay, now, loud. All right. I think they heard us, don't you? Now I want to introduce my friend who spoke at the very, very first Fire Drill Friday here in D.C. in October of 2019. Jerome Foster II is the 20-year-old White House climate advisor, environmental justice activist, and emerging technology developer. He advises President Biden's White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council as the youngest ever White House advisor. Jerome served as intern for the late Honorable John Lewis when he was 16. Served as board member for the D.C. State Board of Education at 15. He's co-founder at Wake Up, which is an international communication to community impact charity. Okay. Please welcome Jerome Foster.
My name is Jerome Foster II. I'm 20 years old, and I'm the youngest member of the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council. Today, my heart is full to be with you all today, and to be with friends, and to be with fellow disruptors who have been organizing for years for environmental justice. But at the same time, I have a feeling of frustration because we're here again fighting for what should be the human right to clean air and non-toxic water. But today, I want to talk about the long-lasting impact we will have as a movement by continuing to stand here and to represent those communities facing the pollution burden right now all across this country. Right now, everywhere around the world, young people have risen up. For over 100 weeks, young people have rose in the millions demanding climate justice and demanding that elected officials take real climate action that has equity and justice and actual real loss and damage funds for communities that are dying while they sit there and have champagne and drinks while people are drowning because of their greed and corruption. We say no more. I'm here not just representing myself, but my generation, and for the thousands of young people that after all of us pass here today, we will be left with the ravages of inaction. We will be left with what we do and do not do in this decade. This is a time for us to sacrifice everything and for us to stand and actually introduce policies that are substantive, that are timely, that are actionable, that are equitable, and are actually seen in communities like Lopez Nunez, who are from the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, where I serve on. And most of all, I want to have a message to Republicans, to people that are on the other side that often don't hear our calls. This fight, this movement welcomes you. We are all of us victims of the same system that allows monopolies to exist. We're all of us victims of the same system that allows fossil fuel industry and petrochemical plants to be placed in black and brown communities. We are all of us neighbors. There are Republican and Democratic neighbors that live in Cancer Alley, where 156 petrochemical plants were placed there because of decades of environmental racism that leave them with cancer and are dying every day because of the fact that we are not united in this fight. Republican and Democratic voters must understand that we have to unite and redirect our pitchforks at each other into the system of oppression that continues to keep us oppressed. But most of all, I want to talk about the young people. Young people right now are feeling numb and they're feeling hopeless because of the fact that we are not waking up. We, as a people, as a planet, as a movement, are shards of light in the darkness. We are glimmers of hope. By all of you who are in this crowd today, organizing, stopping, and saying the status quo must end here, are the light that people need to see. By you being here today, you are showing that the time is now, and that the time for us to continue to vote out the politicians like Joe Manchin that are having the dirty deal perpetuated and think that their pollution and that their profits are worth more than our lives. They chose pollution over their children. They chose profits over our future. And we are tired of having to come here and demand the bare minimum. I'd like to thank Jane Fonda and Greenpeace USA and for Fire Drill Fridays for organizing us here. Jane Fonda is my dear godmother in climate movement, and she has been tirelessly fighting when it wasn't trendy to be a climate activist. It wasn't in vogue to be a climate activist. It wasn't mainstream to be a climate activist. It was dangerous. She is the one who has been fighting decades for us to continue fighting here today. And she's the true embodiment of the phrase that I always say: civil rights are human rights, and human rights are environmental rights. And to all the young people that are watching this and are feeling hopeless, join us. Join us. And come outside and start climate striking. Start coming to Fire Drill Fridays. Tune in, join in, and lead into this movement so we don't have to sit here in 2070 fighting for clean air and non-toxic water. And I have a chant. Act with urgency. This is a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Act with urgency. Act with urgency. Thank you.
Teach us, Jerome. All right. Hey, listen, do you know the main reason that Americans, they admit, the Americans admit that their concerned about climate, but they haven't taken action. You know why? It's not lack of time. It's not lack of interest. They say they haven't been asked. So first, I'm asking you to take action. Okay? Take out your phones. I'll wait. Come on, take them out. Take out your phones. Get your phones out. All right, now, text Jane to 86799. It's up on the Jumbotron. 86799. That's Jane. 86799. And take a minute to actually put your name and info into your phone. Take a minute. That's good. I'm seeing people do this. This is very good. This is that's all right. Somebody will tell you what to do. Somebody with you, I know, will be able to, okay, one small action that we can take together to show a groundswell of opposition, like the elected officials told me we have to do tomorrow. Once you join this list, okay, have you done it? Once you join this list, you're going to get connected to important, timely actions. Right after the rally, you'll also get a text inviting you to sign up to join the Greenpeace volunteer community to get more deeply involved in the fight. And then on Tuesday, right when the White House lines open, we'll send you the next action to make a call to the White House to urge President Biden to declare a climate emergency. People talking to people is how we're going to make change. You know, sometimes it's uncomfortable. You don't always know who's going to say yes, but you won't know till you ask, right? So thank you. Thank you all for taking action together here today now. Be sure to check out the tables in the back. Which back? Over there, I guess. Over there. Oh, yeah, the tables are over there. Okay, there's Coastal Stewards, Heated World, and Center for Biological Diversity. And they will help you get connected for action. Now, we've heard from some incredible speakers today who are on the leading edge of this change. And I'm so grateful to each and every one of them. And for each and every one of you who are here today for caring and for carrying out this work, carrying it forward in your lives. I'm so grateful. We know that people power wins, but we have to build it from the ground up, from the front lines, where the worst damage is happening. And that's why in 2023, Fire Drill Fridays is headed to the front lines of the climate crisis, starting with the Gulf and then on to California. Maybe some of you will be with me. We want to shine a spotlight on forgotten places, uplift the incredible leaders, stand shoulder to shoulder in the fight against big oil, and bring those stories back to the halls of power to demand action. And as you're going to hear from our next speaker, the Gulf is the cross-section of everything that we've talked about. It represents the heart of oil country with massive fossil fuel infrastructure, mostly for export. It's on the front lines of environmental justice and racism, with low income and communities of color plagued by pollution, respiratory disease, and cancer. It's on the front lines of extreme weather, fierce hurricanes, flooding, and heat waves. And infuriatingly, the Biden administration just green-lighted yet another crude oil export terminal in the Gulf. This terminal will emit over 300 million tons of carbon pollution every year along the Texas coast, creating really serious health problems. That said, the Gulf has the potential to be on the front lines of real solutions. Fire Drill Friday is going to communicate communities on the Gulf that have been written off as sacrifice zones. Because to make the kind of change we need and to build the kind of movement we need, we cannot condone sacrifice zones. If big oil wins in the Gulf, we all lose. But if we can make headway to forge a new path to clean air, clean water, justice, and good-paying, clean energy jobs in the heart of oil country, man, we can do it anywhere. So stay tuned. You can always go to firedrillfridays.com/take action to find out what we're doing and where we are. And also tune into our virtual Fire Drill Fridays the first Friday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And now, I've been talking about the Gulf, and now I'm going to introduce a speaker from the Gulf, Rashetta Ozane. Is the organizing director of Southwest Louisiana, Southeast Texas for Healthy Gulf, and is currently organizing against the oil and gas build-out in Southwest Louisiana and Southeast Texas. She also founded and directs the Vessel Project of Louisiana, a mutual aid and disaster relief organization in Louisiana. Rashetta is also, dig this, a mother of 6 children. And her children are the reason she's fighting so hard to save this planet. Please welcome Rashetta Ozane.
Hey, y'all. You know, I always come to the podium as me, as Rashetta, as a black woman from the South who is a mom of 6. That's who I am. That's who I represent. I also represent every community that looks like me. Black, brown, indigenous people of color communities, environmental justice communities, climate injustice communities, social injustice communities. Those are all the communities that I stand here and represent. Those are also the communities that for decades have been overburdened by the fossil fuel extractive industries. I'm a mom, and what we need in this fight is moms. We need moms. Moms know what to do. That's why I'm also an organizer for Moms Clean Air Force. Moms know how to get the job done. We figure out solutions when there aren't any solutions. We have conversations at the dinner table with our children, and our children go out into the world and they carry those solutions into the world. When I was sitting here, I was a little bit intimidated by the crowd and by the speakers before me, but I looked out and I saw this young person right here. And I heard these 2 girls here, and they kept screaming, "I don't have a phone, I don't have a phone." And it immediately made me think of my children who I left hundreds of miles away in Southwest Louisiana, who are at school right now. I left them home to come here because this is how important it is for me to be here to fight. My children and I, we lost our home to Hurricanes Laura and Hurricane Delta, and we were homeless. I never in my 38 years imagined being homeless. For me, it was the scariest thing, not even because I didn't have a roof over my head, But the one job that I'm responsible for doing every day, which is protecting my children, I really didn't have a real clear way of knowing how I was going to protect them. And so when we were in my van and I didn't know where we were going to go, I was so afraid for my children. And as I tried to find help for my kids, I realized I wasn't the only mom who was out there in that same position. So many people in Southwest Louisiana had lost their home. It was so many newly homeless people, folks who were okay the day before who were now homeless, didn't know where they were going to sleep, sleeping in their cars, sleeping in travel trailers, sleeping in tents under the bridge. And our mayor and other officials were acting like it was okay. They had money to go to hotels. They had money to evacuate. They did not think about the poor, low-income folks who could not leave, who didn't have resources. So I went to the streets and I started finding those folks, and we figured it out together. I took money that I did not have, but thanks to the stimulus check, because you know I have 6 kids, so y'all know my stimulus is kind of big. I took that stimulus money and I started paying for hotels for people. The word spread and it started like it started to snowball, and people started donating money and cash apping money. And we ended up putting over 300 people in hotels. That's what people power does. That's what we can do when we work together. That's what happens when you get rid of the bureaucratic bull crap. That's what happens when you get rid of the red tape. We don't need the powers that be to save us. They don't give a care about us. I want to say something else, but I'm going to be politically correct. But they don't care about us at all. So we don't need them. We can do this together. Whenever I'm in these meetings in the White House and in the Senate or whatever, and they have me there as a frontline black person in the room, you know, they always say, it's so hard. Oh my God, we're trying to help. It's so hard. We're in the minority. I wake up in the minority. I cannot not be the minority. It's hard for me to breathe every day. It's hard for me to find clean drinking water in my community every day. It's not hard for you to make a decision. You make a choice to make that decision. So they always like to ask, well, what can we do? We've given them things to do over and over. What you can do is break free from plastics. What you can do is keep it in the ground. What you can do is stop the use of fossil fuels. Put more green jobs into our communities. Come to our communities, see us, meet with us, bring more of our community members to the table. Let them make the decisions. We're the closest to the problems, so guess who has the solutions? And finally, what else you can do is find the frontline folks in these communities, support them, pay them, because this is a job. All of the communities that we fight for, because of the intersection of issues that we constantly face, we're not just fighting oil and gas, folks. People are literally dying every day. And it's not just at the hands of oil and gas. We're fighting social injustices. We're fighting health crisis. You cannot fight one thing without fighting the other thing, because all of these marginalized communities have been overburdened with so many things for so long that when you go in and you try to fight one thing, guess what? Their whole life is still crumbling down. You can't knock on somebody's door whose lights are getting cut off and say, fight Commonwealth. They don't they don't care about Commonwealth. So I invite all of you to come to Louisiana. New Orleans is a city. It's not the state. So when you come, don't just stop in New Orleans. Come to Southwest Louisiana. We will cook you a big pot of gumbo. We'll get you some crawfish. We'll get you some crabs. And then I'll take you on a toxic tour. I'll take you to my home, and you can see where Driftwood LNG is being built, where Commonwealth LNG is being built. You can see where Firestone, facility that's been fined several times, but they continue to pollute because those are pennies to them. You can see Indorama, Westlake Chemical, Sasol, who just had an explosion a month ago. Westlake Chemical had an explosion the beginning of this year and last year. Several people were hurt each time. You can see all of these facilities from my backyard where my 6 children are, where they play every day. So yes, I'm going to feed you. I'm going to give you all the good things. I'm going to take you for a walk along the beach, which is beautiful. But I'm going to also show you why I fight every day. Thank y'all so much for having me. Thank you, Miss Jane Fonda.
Thank you, Rashetta. Greenpeace and Fire Drill Friday is going to take you up on that invitation, both on the gumbo and on witnessing the pollution and the dangers that you live with every day. We'll be there. We'll be there. Again, I'm looking out at all of you. Thank you. Some of you that I haven't seen since the fall of 2019. Thank you for being back. I'm so grateful to all of you for being here. Now let's welcome back on stage our incredible Grammy Award-winning brass band all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana. They know what we're talking about. They live right in the heart of it. And don't forget to check out the tables in the back, meet some new friends, and dance like Mansion Can't Rain on our parade. See you next time. Thank you. Thank you.